Hey everyone, Lauren here. We're going to use one of the exclusive cut files that the Kitaholic Kits subscribers get, and it's this beautiful daisy wreath. And I am just looking through my pattern paper to see what I want to use. I really love the little daisy pattern paper in the background. I really think that's a cute little daisy upon daisy little situation with the cut file. Just pulling out these 3 coloured pattern papers from the kit, and I'm just going to have them in a pattern round and round. And lucky for me, because only halfway through that I realised I probably should have checked that there was enough for an even number, like the pattern was well, so that none of them so the pattern wasn't ruined. So you can just see here I'm just adding a little bit of glue to the back of the cut file, adding it onto my paper, letting it dry for a moment, and then just using my scissors to cut it properly so that it is fussy cut throughout. So just thought I'd leave that in. You can see I've done the rest of the cut file, and I didn't want to bore you guys to tears by doing the whole thing on the video, but I just wanted to make sure that just in case anyone is new to the cut filing world, then they have that idea of how quick and easy it is to do. And this is not the only way to back the cut file, but it's just the way that I do it. So I'm really loving the colours in the pattern paper in the background, and I'm just deciding whether I want to fill the middle of the wreath with white pattern paper, and if I'm sort of playing with the idea of having it overhang on the cut file, overhanging the pattern paper on the left side of the paper, so that it's just a feature to the left there. And I'm really considering it. Grab out some photos. I grabbed these 2 photos of baby Padme, and try and help myself to decide exactly what I am going to do. So I do just put some little marks there so that I can cut out the white pattern paper to see how it is going to look. It's not a direct circle shape because there's different spots in the daisies where they join, and I didn't want it. I wanted it in the middle, but not in that middle layer of between, the middle of the daisies connecting, or on the outside of the daisies. So you can see here I'm still playing with the idea of it overhanging, and I'm thinking that this is the right spot, and I'm going to chop it. I'm going to go for it. This kind of made me, take some deep breaths and go, okay, this has got to work. This has got to work. And luckily, I think it worked really well. So just going to cut that in half to see how it looks. I'm really liking that that middle of the wreath is filled in, because otherwise the blue pattern paper was taking over a little in that realm. And I'm going to cut down this little photo of her just so that it's not covering up too much of the layout. I cut it down here to 4x4, but you'll see later I do cut it down to 3x3. So I'm thinking this bottom spot or underlapped here would be a right spot to do, and then I think about using some of these puffy stickers, and it was quite quick that I realized that I could add a few of them together to make a title. So I'm pulling some of them out to see exactly what I can, and have the photo on the left with the left part of the cut file, and then some of the words here on the right to find out exactly how it's going to sit. It is so nice that puffy stickers sit on some clear packaging, so that you can do exactly what I've done, in that I'm layering them up and covering or placing them on my layout before I'm sticking them down and committing, so that I can find out exactly what I want to do. So you see there I put pretty much all the words on there, and then I take them off and decide on less. I then decide I'm going to add her name on there so that it's like we're talking to her. And then it changes even a little bit more as we go along as well. So this is where I've gone back to the really useful box, and I'm just looking at some pattern paper because I'm wondering maybe I'd like pattern paper instead of the white paper. So I then pull this one out and it's perfect. So I've got this little, blue grid, I guess, blue square grid pattern paper that we got in the kit, and that's going to be what I add to the layout to have behind the cut file. So just using those little white cardstock as templates so that I can have the shape work well for me, because the white cardstock did work in terms of its size, and look how different it already looks. So the white, I think, was just like, hello, I'm here, and staring you in the face and making your eyes draw to it. It was too bright, it was too overwhelming. And I think this pattern paper is a nice little calming thing, but also because it's blue, it sort of looks like perhaps when you're quickly looking that it's still the pattern paper in the background as well. So I'm going to bunch up the title a bit closer together on the left, and then I have the consideration of adding the photo with the title on the right, and this is where I do cut it down to fit better. And ultimately I decided not to put it on the right there with the title, even though it looks good, but because I've got the cut file on the other side, I think it just wouldn't work well in terms of balance of the layout. Now if I'd kept the cut file as a whole piece and then used it like a wreath, I'm sure that this design with the title and then the photo underneath the title would have worked really well. So that's something you can have a little play with if you're not feeling like you want to cut the cut file in half, or well, I guess it was 3/4 and 1/4, because it felt like quite a big risk, even though it's just paper. But I'd spent not too long, but long enough on. And that would mean also that I'd used up my pattern paper if I'd ruined it. So it would have just been a little bit annoying. So you can see here, just sticking down the pattern paper and then gluing down the cut file. I did consider adding foam tape, but decided against it. It's already popping off the page enough without it needing the dimension. So I'm just going to cut off the sides, and that way one, it's going to fit in my page protector, but also two, it's going to be a much neater layout and background. It just looks nice just like that without anything on, but I am glad that adding the things on didn't ruin the page either. So again, having a little play and double check that the title and the the photo is going to work. I really was thinking it needed to be over there. As you can see, I keep trialing that, but it's definitely not what was needed at all. So I pull out my enamel dots and I try these ones that we got previously in a kit. I did accidentally kick my tripod stand for my camera, so just had to quickly fix that up. But I then ultimately decide on these glittery black enamel dots and used all the same size, which were the bigger size on the sheet, which can sometimes be the harder ones to use, but I think they were just the right size for these little daisy flowers. And look how much they pop off the page by putting those enamel dots on there. It's so funny how something so small can make something so impactful. So here's where I then try something totally different, because if this layout is obviously trial and error 101, I then decide, nope, the title definitely goes over that side, and I'm going to layer my pattern paper, same colouring that is gone on the kit on the page already, and then I'm going to be able to stick it down on the left side because that's where it ultimately goes. Just a bit of double-sided tape. Oh, then I add some of the blue, just because 3 layers are better than 2 layers, right? So just overlapping on 3 of the edges rather than 2 of the edges, just to add a little bit of pop of difference, but with all the embellishments and everything going on, that it's not something super obvious in this layout. Sometimes pattern paper layouts, backgrounds and layers can be more impactful than it is on this situation. So I'm going to come back in a moment, and the power of editing is going to mean that my title has stuck down so that you didn't have to watch that craziness happen. And then we can get stuck on embellishing. So I need to add a bit more embellishing just to make sure and round out my layout and have it all come together. I really love this chipboard bunny that we got in the kit from the Simple Stories part, and then I'm going to add just a few little touches over on this side, and then down the bottom of the photo I'm going to add some, and then I do play with the idea of I put a puffy flower here. I put it up the top on the right side of the cut file, but towards the end I remember that I put it there when I lift the layout, and remove it because that's not where the cluster is needed. It's needed on the top left hand side to even out the heaviness of the bulk of the cut file happening on the right. So just a quick little snippy snip fussy cut of the printables that is going to stick under there on that cluster and be a nice little part of layering to add to what's going on. So really, I really love how this layout's come together. Now I did print these photos of Padme to go in the 8x8, which is really a 6x8, and if you've seen my other video you know what I'm talking about, album, but when I saw this cut file come together on this layout, I knew that one of these photos would have been a beautiful choice, and I will put her in our normal family albums, so it's fine to have a 12x12 because there will be plenty of photos of her in the 12x12 album for the year of 2020 for sure. So just having a play, pulling out, you can see I've got my really useful box there to the left with the tray on the top, which has all the embellishments sorted out and ready to use. And then we'll be able to just finish off. Sorry, I was just quickly reading a text message. It's from someone from work, so I had to just double check. So yeah, just finishing off with these little touches. So there's lots going on because of the kit's full of a sticker book. We have chipboard, we have puffy stickers, we have printables, we have die cuts. Is that all the embellishment? And then we got the wood veneer hearts. So plus pattern paper, plus thickers. So there's a lot to work with and have a little play. So it's just fun once you get to this stage. Just flick through your embellishments and just pull out things that work and then just stick them on. You don't need to worry too much and spend too much time agonizing over it. I think it's, once you get to this stage, it would be nice to just have a little play and go with it. And really, most of the time you can take something off the layout if it's not working. So here's where I build that left cluster, and I've completely forgotten about that puffy sticker that's sitting on plastic on the right side up the top there, but that's okay because this cluster works out much better, like I said, about balancing the heaviness in terms of the bulk of the cut file on the right. So I am cutting out the pages of the sticker book because it was bothering me the way that it was bending and moving. It just wasn't as easy as it is to flip through these pages, and they are perforated, but I was getting a bit impatient, so scissors for the win, right? So adding some florals because you can never have too many florals, and I love these little clear stickers with the black writing and the black little there's some flowers and leaves and stuff, and some of the other sticker books that I've been using recently have got like some hearts and some stars and stuff in the black on the clear, which is a really nice touch because you can see with this love word that it sort of just blends in like either you've written it or like someone else has written it, or it's just, you know, part of it. It's not got a white background and sticking out more than it needs to be. So on goes some journaling, and I'm just going to finish out this embellishment cluster with a few more things. This is where I realised the flower was up the top, because I'm lifting my layout to have a good look at it as a whole rather than from the angle I have of it sitting at my table. And then I'm just going to find one of these puffy little words so that I can layer it under the cut file and have it sitting underneath that embellishment. And I will finish that embellishment with one little sticker under that word, and that, and the little, I don't know what that punctuation is above the E, to, you know, those, it's like an apostrophe, but it's not. Well, it might be, but it's, you know, to me it's fancy writing, but it is how you spell her name, so I thought I better put it in. And here is a close-up of the layout. So hopefully you've enjoyed how this has come together, and you've got some creative time up your sleeve. Have a good day, guys.